Hello, everyone. Welcome to the eCommerce podcast. Today, we're here at Mondelez U.S. headquarters in East Hanover, New Jersey, and we're here with Abhishek Ahluwalia, Global Director of eCommerce for Mondelez Brands. Welcome to the show, Abhi.
Thank you very much, Mert. Pleasure being with you.
I'm glad you pointed out the additional benefit of retail media, not only driving sales or growing the category, bringing new to the brand, bringing new to the category consumers, and I'm sure it's also another lever for brands. When you propose to the retailer, hey, look, in addition to bringing new to the brand, new to the category for my brand, I'm also bringing new customers to your store because of my brand power, which is a very strong argument to make. Then I have another question. Because, I'm studying a lot of data analytics. I'm talking about analytical capabilities. You mentioned one of the two measurement tools for ROI is the market modeling mix. And there is also another hypothesis driving around bringing to MTAs, multi-touch attribution, bringing to incrementality testing, incremental lift testing into the MMM models. So it's three-pronged approach, which I will ask a very blunt question because our retailer partners, our marketplace partners, are sometimes collaborating, sometimes not. When it comes to measurement of the retail media performance or return on the investment, where do you see the current stage of the industry? Is it satisfactory enough, or is there still a long to go for brands to get the measurement they deserve for the increased investment they've been making on retail media network?
I think there is a lot of work to be done in this area. ROAS, obviously your glance views and, add to carts and, sort of sales and ROAS is the standard metrics you will get from any retail media network. But really, incrementality, the true, am I better off spending one RMN versus the other? How do I know as an advertiser? So I think that's where, and you need a lot of data.
Yes.
And you need data, which is, I would say, and again, there are shortcomings of MMM, it's lagged and it takes time. In the world of e-commerce, you need to move fast, you need to optimize your media and things like that, which is a separate part of the story. But I think we need more data collaboration from our customers. We need, I would say, yes, retail media is part of the JBP discussions, but it's not a trade. It's not a trade commitment.
No.
So we look at Mondelez that, yes, we want to definitely include in JBP, but retail media needs to stand on its own feet. And, the investment we are driving, the returns, need to, and we should be able to compare it.
Which brings me to the desire of the future of e-commerce that you want to see, new trends, new conversations opening up, and also reality. What do you see impacting this conversation between CPGs and retailers? Can you share some of the, let's say, thought-provoking expectations you can share, of course, in the public? We cannot share all the company secrets, but can you walk us through what do you expect to see and what reality do you expect to happen in this relationship between CPGs and the retailers?
And again, it really, I would say, we believe that the relationship needs to be both two ways, right? So, that's the reason we also do something called JVC, Joint Value Creation.
Oh, okay.
Which is, I would say, while JBP focuses on a year, JVC is multi-year. So
right.
think of like a strat plan with the retailer.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, retailer, if you think from a retailer standpoint, what are they interested in? They want one additional item. They're not concerned about which manufacturer. They want to drive frequency, average order value, and attract new shoppers.
Right.
The fundamental laws of growth. Right. Now, whether it's Mondelez or somebody else, so how do you sort of make sure that you are a category captain? Right.
Which Mondelez is in multiple
biscuits,
categories.
chocolate, we are leaders. Bars, we are leaders in a lot of categories, in a lot of markets. And then how do you sort of work with the retailer and say, we want to grow the category with you, right? Online, right? And we want to do a lot of things when consumers are building their cart online. We want to drive that one additional piece, a block of chocolate when they're just checking out. And let's do a partnership there. What can we do? So we've done with some of the retailers where we've done what we call as path to purchase.
Right.
Online with a lot of shopper data. And then we go to the retailer and say, this is what we've learned. And this is how you can improve your taxonomy. Because the shoppers are discovering the category and then the brand, then the SKU in this fashion. And your current UI UX is a bit clunky or it's not there, right? And some of the suggestions are also incorporated by some of the retailers. So I think I would phrase this as, it's all about partnership. And it's not like a yearly, we at Mondelez believe that to win in the market, you need to not only win with the consumer, which is at the premise, but win with the customer.
Customer too.
We've now started also measuring how customers rank us through Advantage Group survey results, right? That's one of the KPIs. Not only at the enterprise level, but for even e-commerce. And we look at, do customers think our digital decom strategy is spot on? Are we good in digital shelf content? Are we partnering with the retailer on building the online category? And, so those are things we are taking, that's our scorecard.
It's an interactive way of measuring the relationship, not one way only.
Correct.
It takes two to tango at the end of the day.
Correct.
The more you collaborate, the more you can grow the category, so every partner is happy, and hopefully consumer will have a better shopping experience. Now, I want to shift focus from the overall B2C major retailer partnerships to a little more focused sub-channel and get down to the 10,000 level view with quick mile and the last milers. So this channel, you mentioned UX. Sometimes UX experience is clunky or even doesn't exist. My personal experience, in between all these sub-channels, quick commerce and last mile delivery partners, UX is usually ranks below on the list. That's my personal shopper experience. I know Mondelez has also some great initiatives within the current brand portfolio. How is your relationship with the last milers and quick commerce players? Because they went through a turmoil post-COVID, and now they are going through a consolidation. But I know there's also some successful partnerships and good results. Can you give us a couple of examples with good collaboration with quick commerce players?
Sure. So, for us, the quick commerce is, again, or last milers is what we call, is one of the fastest growing channels. And in markets like India, it's growing very fast in China. Consumers and shoppers are shopping on last milers. Amongst our top customers, it is the last milers are clearly customers. So we are, again, for our categories, especially impulse-led categories, last milers play a very critical role. After dinner, I want a chocolate. What do? Last milers can deliver within 15 minutes at your home. So I think it's a great way to address an occasion where there is a category fit, right? We are also looking at new categories with last milers, right? With the wealth of data. Like in China, with Meituan, for example, and we've worked out and we've addressed things like there is, a day part in the afternoon where Oreo is being bought with tea.
Of course.
So we said, okay, why don't we own that occasion and created virtual bundles, right? And again, through the basket data, you're able to then sort of build the occasions, right?
Very meaningful for the impulse customer.
Correct.
And meeting them in the context they're in.
Correct.
Now, drilling down from ground level, I want to elevate us back to 30,000 feet view. The famous two-letter buzzword of the last 3-4 years, AI. And I heard some good news from another Mondelez team, but I won't spoil the surprise. I want to leave the floor to you. What are you guys doing with AI? What capabilities are on the horizon? Is there any news that you want to share with us today?
Sure. There is a lot going on.
Of course.
We've got a team and, we are driving the AI agenda for the enterprise. I think for digital commerce, what I speak is, I think we are looking at how can AI and, homegrown AI solution, which essentially, is something which works best for us and our brands, help us build digital content at scale. So when you look at digital content, you're looking at creatives, visuals, animation, text,
of course,
on product display pages. How can that happen at scale? Because as you can imagine, you've got multiple brands, thousands of SKUs, into multiply with retailers. Just imagine the amount of assets we need to create. So I think that's the way we are. So in AI should be able to, and I'm saying from a digital commerce lens, should be able to drive scale as well as quality, consistency.
Yes,
I would say. And that can only happen once the AI model understands the brands and what we call as the brand brain, and then brand brain, and then there is a commerce brain on that. So that's the way we are thinking. So I would say that is that's the way an AI can supercharge, your digital commerce, I would say ambition or growth ambition, right? Because then you are able to react to the market very quickly, right?
And meet the consumer in their personalized and contextualized way.
Correct. I think, personally, I also think AI can play a role which in planning, forecasting. It plays a role in digital. We talked about retail media just a moment back. Retail media, right? Optimization, and AI models can guide you
on flight,
because there would be signals coming in on weather and things like that automatically, and it adjusts your bidding and
price promotion.
Correct.
Tentpole events.
So that is the future of how generative AI can disrupt digital commerce, from forecasting, content, media, the entire ecosystem.
So is this going to impact the entire brand portfolio, or is there a couple of brands and markets coming into life first that you can share at the moment, or should we wait?
I can't share.
Okay, we'll wait.
But I can't share. But all I can say is that there are pilots in flight, which will essentially inform broader rollout. I think all of us know that nobody's been able to really build the full suite of AI capabilities in an enterprise for sales and marketing as yet. Everybody is in different stages of development. I think we are very clear that the role Gen AI plays for enterprise and for digital commerce particularly, and we are committed to that.
This requires very well synchronization of multiple teams, because e-commerce is a team sport. And it also requires a lot of education, training, and upskilling. And I know you're a big advocate within the global digital commerce team, with the leadership, with the support. Mondelez is doing a tremendous job about upskilling their enterprise level and digital commerce teams across functional teams, from sales to media, marketing to supply chain. Can you give us a couple of recent updates? Because I haven't been in the organization the last couple of years. What is the next available training? What is the most recent achievement of the upskilling program? How teams are speeding up?
We, as I said earlier, that digital upskilling is a big part of our role. And e-commerce, is a team sport for sure. And it takes everyone in the organization to really drive the agenda. So what we've been doing is we've created different modules. So if you're a leader, you don't need to get into the weeds, but you need to know what role will this play for the function you're leading in a market. And then there are guides and tools for the operators, right? People who are calling the customer, building a plan, doing forecasting, things like that, right? The entire module or training programs are now in Workday, right?
Oh, yes.
We've created internal podcasts, Mert.
Yes, of course.
Probably we'll call you as one of the speakers.
I'd love to.
Or co-host, right? One of the podcasts. But it is one of the things where we know it works. We are using all touch points internally to be able to drive that. The last training program, which I personally did, was we had this digital week, or digital month this time, where we essentially had few days where we had digital programs, and we trained, I would say, a couple of hundred marketeers and media folks on digital retail media, right? That was one of the topics. And that was like 101, right? What does it mean, right? If I'm not an e-commerce person in the market, I at least need to know. And if I'm in marketing or in media, I should know what retail media is. How can I drive growth for my market? So I think that's something which I did, I would say, a few months back. And then, as I said, ongoing programs and upskilling initiatives keep on going. Workday is one of the things now, as if you are there is a course, you do that course, you get a certification. And then on LinkedIn, you could post that, which is beginner, intermediate. So we've got like various tiers of accreditation.
Who's the most successful one so far? Who's on the top of the list?
I can't, again, but there are few people who really are like, nailing it and getting good scores. But I think overall it's a rewarding part of the role because you're really future-proofing the organization. Our sales and marketing teams truly understanding what is e-commerce, digital, omni-channel, and I think that is something which I personally enjoy because when I look back, I've been in the company now for 7+ years, and I think we've been, it's been a great ride of seeing people who work with you really saying e-commerce is that team's job to now where that is how can plans are being built with e-commerce considerations, whether it's the customer plans or marketing plans. I think that's a great achievement, right? And again, the job is not finished as yet, as you know,
true.
right? It's an ongoing.
It's a journey.
You got to continue to upskill people because new capabilities are developing, new routes to market are coming up. So how do you sort of make sure your organization is completely wired and with you?
It's a journey to your point. And you've been in many of these roles in different markets, so it brings tremendous experience and vision to the topic. Now we're approaching to the end of our conversation. I want you to play like the expert, academic, or trailblazer of digital commerce, because we come from many different backgrounds with different functions. Some of us come from sales, evolved into e-commerce. Some of us come from media, brand. Some of us come from even data or agency. But at the end, we all converge into e-commerce as multi-function sport. What do you suggest? What do you recommend to younger generation, to newcomers to the field, if they're coming from a different background and if they want to become leader in the e-commerce field, global director level in a global brand portfolio like Mondelez? What are your top 3 recommendations or advice to those generation?
Yeah, sure. So I truly believe that e-commerce or digital commerce is the best learning ground if your ambition is to be a GM.
Right.
Because you get so much exposure in sales, online category management, marketing in a way, which is digital shopper marketing, supply chain, profitability, things like that, right? So it's truly, I would say, a great training ground if you want to build a GM career, right? If that is the ambition. There are 3 things which I would, or 3 pieces of advice. One is be curious, right? Curiosity is absolutely critical in e-commerce or digital commerce. So that you need to be, what's going to happen next? What's the next level of evolution in data? How are shoppers going to truly shop, for example, in the metaverse when it becomes really a thing? It's not been as yet, but imagine if it really scales up to the way it was initially built or presented. Yeah. So I think that curiosity is number 1. Number 2 is pure team sport, right? Team sport is critical because just the e-commerce team cannot drive the business.
No.
You need cross-functional wiring, which is heavy wiring, right? And if you're in a matrix organization, even more. So I think truly a team player, right? And then I would say 3rd is be very clear that the more exposure you get in multiple functions, multiple markets, the better chance of you becoming a well-rounded leader, right? Highly respected in the industry, in the company. So don't be afraid of taking risks. Take your chances. Don't say no to moves. If it's not, if it is not, every move is not vertical. So take those chances. This is an area which is not going to go down anytime soon. It will change. The formats will change. The role designations might change. It might not be called e-commerce. It might be called omni-commerce or omni-channel orchestra. I don't know what, but you get that, right? Yeah. So, but the true, the tenets of this, right? Curiosity and team, that will not,
go
change,
away
right?
anytime soon.
And obviously, when I say take risks, also do a lot of test and learns.
Yeah.
Make sure whatever work you are, as you do, you have that mentality of test and learn. And it's not just winning, it's all about failures as well, right?
Experience more information and gather more experience under those. That's true. But I keep hearing this a lot. Many CPGs, if not all, are encouraging any level of leaders or upcomers to encourage failures. Be fast, but learn as much as you can from your failures as much as you're from your victories. I think this is a common theme of our e-com acceleration era.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that acceleration is one of the key drivers of the global e-commerce at Mondelez. Abhi, this was a very lovely and insightful conversation. Thank you very much for answering all my curved, tough, and easy questions. It's always a pleasure listening to you, and being at home is always a great feeling. Now this is a wrap. Folks, thanks for joining eCommerce podcast. Today we were with Abhishek Ahluwalia, who's leading the global e-commerce for Mondelez portfolio in the growth and strategy. Thank you very much for being with us, Abhi.
Thank you, Mert.
And we'll come and see you in one of the next episodes. I'm happy to join in one of those Workday podcasts if you want.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We'll get together soon. Thanks, everyone. Join eCommerce podcast and stay ahead of the curve with leaders like Abhi.